Okay, so in yesterday's session, we talked about what is varlet const. We had gone through with variables, data types, and understanding of varlet and const. What are the difference between varlet and const keyword? Now, today we'll start with statement and loops. We'll finish it off at least like completing the statement and loops in today's session. So before that, any doubts do you have till now?
Yes, Praveen. Based on yesterday's class, I'm having few of the queries. So can we discuss at the end of the session or?
Yes, yes, we'll
Oh,
discuss the end of the session.
yes, fine.
So let's start with the session today, which will be a statement. It is, we have like different types of statement, which is normally like if statement, then if else, if else if, and then so on so else, and then again nested if else. Right. So we'll go through one by one. But what is like first question is like what is statement or what is condition? So condition in any programming language, not only in the JavaScript, but in any programming language, it basically execute different blocks of code. When you select different blocks of code, either it can execute if statement or it can execute else block of code. It depends on the condition that we are providing inside the if block of the code. So inside the if statement. So how do we start it with, let's say, if you're trying to provide, if you're just trying to write if statement. So if statement basically used to execute a block of code if the specified condition, the condition that we specify inside if block inside if method. Okay. So what happened in the if statement is if statement, the definition of the if statement is basically it is used to execute a block of code if the specified condition is true. That means if the condition that we provide here, let's say if that is true, then only the if block of statement will be executed. If it is not true, then if block of statement will not be executed. So let's say we declare a variable uh, called, let's say, length equals to 4, and now we are trying to check if the length is greater than 2 or not. So if the length is greater than 2, then we can print it out some value, which is like length is greater than 2. If it is not greater than 2, then nothing will be printed over here for only for if statement. If we are just trying to write if statement, and if the condition is matching, which is if the this particular whenever we write a condition inside if statement, this will either give you the true value or it will give you a false value. So it will give you the Boolean data type. Okay. So if the condition is matching, if the condition is true, then if block of statement will be executed. If it is false, then in this particular case where we are only executing um, where we are only writing the if statement, in that situation there will be nothing printed in the output. So if you try to run this particular things right now, or this particular code right now, so it will say like the length is greater than 2, which is because our condition is matching properly and it is providing us the true value. If you say like length is greater than 5, in that case, if you see, there will be nothing printed out in the output. there will be nothing printed out in the output. So you can see like we did not get any output from the code that we have written. It's just because we have written just if statement. So that means if the condition is true, then only the if statement, like if block of the code will be executed. If it is false, the condition is false, then in this situation, nothing will be printed in the console in case of if statement. Like these are very simple. If you have worked on any other uh, technology, every technology will have the similar statement, kind of like if else, if, and then nested if else. But again, I'll explain in complete detail part over here. Now we'll try to understand what is if and else. So it is again similar. So let's say I am saying like my variable value is again 4, and if we are saying like let's say length is greater than 0. If the length is greater than 0, then we can say like length is greater than 0. Else, if it is not greater than 0, then we can say it is less than 0. Like, let's say example, if our value is, let's say I'm just printing some kind of example values over here in the console. So for if else statement, what did we do here is we have declared a variable again using a var. As I said, like most of the time we'll not be using var. So let's go ahead with our let keyword, which is like very prominent, and also um, in modern JavaScript we always try to use like either let keyword or const keyword. In this particular like file, wherever we declared like at the line number 7 and 10 and 14, there won't be any changes. There won't be any disturbance in our code if we change from var to let. Okay. So we have declared a variable using a keyword called let, and we are trying to execute if and else statement. So as we know that if the condition is matching, then if block of statement will be printed. If in this if else block, if the condition is failing, like if the condition is providing here false value, at that particular time, else block of statement will be executed. So if the condition that we have provided here is true, then the code, or then at the time of execution, it will enter inside the if block, and whatever the data, whatever the actions that we perform inside if block will be printed. If the condition is false, then in that situation, it will go inside else block, and whatever the code or actions that we are trying to perform inside else block will be completed. So in this situation, in this case, if we try to run our code, it will probably give like length is greater than 0, because we are trying to validate whether the length is greater than 0 or not. And we have declared a variable which is like a equal to 4. So we can change it out here as well. We are not trying to provide length. So it's greater than 0 and is less than 0. So if you see here, this will currently print like a is greater than 0, because our condition is uh, providing us the true value. Our condition is matching, and it is throwing us true value. And if it is true, then if block of statement will be executed. If false, then else block of statement will be executed. So let's say if we say like less than 0, which is like again a false. So at that point of time, it will say like a is less than 0. So this is what the benefit of whenever we use if and else block. So if there is like the condition is not matching, then at least one block of code will be executed. But if you just use if block of code, then if the condition is failing at that point of time, nothing will be printed in our as an output, or nothing, no action will be performed in either in our test automation or in our programming. So this is like if else block. Any doubt now?
Praveen, this is clear. Just wanted to know this row number 7 and row number 14. So again, we are giving length is equal to 4 2 times. So is
No,
it acceptable?
It is A only, right?
Okay. Yeah, got it.
Right. So it is not
Yes.
acceptable in length. Let's say if you try to provide the same, or
I
you
got
change
clear.
Yeah.
I thought this is same variable. Yeah.
No. So earlier they had declared length that was using var keyword, and later I've changed that to length.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So we'll go ahead with checking like if else if condition. So let's say we are else if else is a condition, is a statement which will basically check different scenarios. Like it will first check our condition in the if statement. If it is matching, then it will again if it is matching in the sense, if it is if the condition is true, then it will execute the if block of statement. If the condition is not true, in case of if else, the else block of statement will be executed. In the same way, we have like if else else. Like we can keep on increasing if else if. So I'll just show you over here. Like we are trying to declare a browser called as let. So let's say currently we are saying that let's say we are trying to say like if our browser equal to Chrome. So why do we use double equal to is whenever you have to compare two values, whenever in any programming language, whenever you have to compare two values, you have to use double equal to. If you have to assign a value to a variable, then you have to use a single equal to. Okay. So what we'll try to do here is we'll say like if our browser is Chrome, and if the condition over here is matching, then go and execute the if block of statement. If it is not matching, then evaluate one more condition, which is like, let's say browser equals to Firefox. And then you can say that you are using Firefox browser. You can again write one more else if. Let's say if this particular block is still failing, like it is not able to match whether the declared browser is Firefox, then it will go to the next. And there we can again validate one more, which is let's say Edge browser. And if it is matching, then it will print the value. Else we can say some values like, let's say you are using other browser. So what did we do here is this is like if else if statement. What did we do here is we have declared a variable called as browser, which is equal to Chrome. And now we are trying to validate if our browser is Chrome, then we are printing some value. If let's say first value is true, now in this case, if the first value is true, then here itself the code will be code will be executed, like the if block of code will be executed, and then none other of like else if will be executed, because it has matched over there, and it will not print anything like after this one, after if statement, because the condition is matching here. So only these block of code will be executed. Let's say if our browser is not Chrome, and we have declared a browser called as Edge, and we are trying to validate. So in terms of if block, the condition will false. So this will not go inside if block of the code. That means this if block of code will be skipped because it is throwing us false value. As soon as it is throwing us false value, then it will go to the next statement, which is else if, and again validate a condition like browser equal to Firefox, which is again not matching. So at the time of running the code, running your script, this will again not go inside else if block of code because the condition is false over here. Again, in the next, it will try to execute a condition because it has like failed over here. The condition return us false value, so it has basically failed over here. Then in that case, it will go to the next statement and validate a condition again. In case of if else if, it will validate a condition. If it is true, then this block of statement will be printed. If it is not matching, then at the end, wherever the else statement is there, will be printed out. If none of the condition is matching, then at the end, if we have else block, then that else block of statement will be printed. So when you select not matching, that means if any of the condition is not throwing us true value, then at the end, else block of statement will be executed. So let's say we try to run this. We can say that it is saying you are using Edge browser. That means it tried to check the condition over here. It became false. Then it went to else if. Again checked. It again became false. And then it came to else if block. Else if, like another else if block where the condition matched. It has returned as the true value. And in that case, it went inside this particular like else if block and executed our code. Now let's say we are just trying to give Chrome as a browser. So in this case, the first value itself will match. The first if condition itself will match, and it will not go after after this condition, because in if else condition, the first if condition has returned true, and this block of code inside the if statement have been printed up. Now, if you just change it to Firefox, then in this case, what happened is like first block, first if statement will return as false, so it will not go inside this. Now it will check like else if condition if it is matching, as in this way, like as for this situation where we have declared browser as Firefox, it will match the condition and then it will execute the else if block of code. And from there on, it will exit without checking any condition because the condition has matched. So if else if nested if else if, which we'll be using just now, in all these statement or all these situation, only one statement will be evaluated. Only one statement will be throwing us true value. There will not be a situation where else if will also be throwing true values, and another else if will also be throwing the same true values. This will not be situation. Only one condition will throw us the true values. False values can be given by many other statements. Okay, so if you run this code, you can see that you are using Firefox. Let's say we are saying like we are using Safari. Now in this situation, what happened is it will go inside if statement and check whether the browser is Safari. No, it is not matching. Then to move to else if. Again, check if browser is Firefox. No, it is not matching. Then again, it will check else if statement where it will check if our browser equals to edge, it is again not matching. So if none of the condition is matching, then it will go to a false. It will throw us a false statement at the end. If everything is in the false state, then the else block of statement at the end of the statement, if there is any else block, will be printed. So if you see here, here it will say like you are using other browser. It tried to check the previous all other conditions. Every conditions were throwing false value. So that is why it went inside else block and given us an output inside the else block. Now, you know the disadvantage of using this if else condition is wherever, let's say in this condition, when we are trying to check if our browser is Safari or not. So what happened is it will check our first condition. It is not matching. It will again move to the second condition. It is not matching. Move to the next condition. It is not matching. Let's say if we have 1,000 lines of code or 100 lines of code, and we have given, let's say 50 conditions to validate. And if none of the condition is matching, we have 50 condition to evaluate. If none of the condition is matching, at the end of the statement, the else block of statement will be printed or will be executed. Right. So the disadvantage here is even though nothing is matching, we know that, let's say if nothing is matching, still it will go and validate one by one all the conditions. And which is there, the performance will be degraded in this particular by using if if statement. So why the performance will be degraded is it will try to check all the 50 conditions, whether it is matching or not. And if it is not matching, then the last else statement will be executed. There is no such scenario that it can automatically validate, okay, if nothing is matching, it can directly move to the else block. It has to validate first all the 50 conditions. If nothing is matching, then it will go to else block. So, validating 50 conditions at least will take 1 second of time. Right. That is where if these kind of situations we have, then the people are moving towards or the people are using switch condition, a switch state. Okay. So that is where the switch statement came into picture. So that in switch statement, what happened is like we have, I'll show you the example as well. But let's say if we have just declared this one, let browser equals to Safari, it will not match all the conditions for the switch statement, but it will directly check if we have any situation or any condition which is directly matching with the browser equal to Safari. It will directly jump to those cases, but will not be going inside, will not be trying to validate each and every statement. Okay, I'll explain you this particular things when we jump to the switch. So in if else, any doubt or confusion?
No, Praveen.
No problem. I'll move towards nested if else. Towards nested if else. So what is nested if else is? It will keep on adding, if else condition inside one another. So example is like, let's say we are trying to declare, we have declared a variable which is currently having no value. And let's say we are trying to write a function called as grades. And this grade will accept a value as marks. So the if student have received, like we are trying to check if the student have got gotten so and so marks, then what will be the grade for the student? So what will we try to write here is, let's say, if grade which we have declared, which we like if marks which we have declared here is greater than 90, then in that case, make this grade as 1. So as I said, let allows you to declare the variable, but it is optional that you can assign the variable at the time of declaring. You can assign the variable at any point of time. It is also a global variable, like scope is having global. So you can utilize this at any point of time, inside function, outside function, and so on. Okay, so we are checking a condition, like if marks is greater than 90, then make the grade as a, else we are writing again another condition inside this. If marks is greater than 80, then make it as grade equal to B. Okay, then again we are writing another if, another else condition, and inside that we are again writing if else condition. If marks is greater than 70, then make it as grade C. Again we are writing one more else condition, and inside this else we are writing if marks is greater than 60, then make the grade to B. And let's stop over here, or you can write else let's say grade is equal to fail. Example answer. So what we are trying to do here is, like, in test automation part, these situation will be rarely seen, because we'll not be going through with like these kind of nested if else. As we talked about here, the performance in this itself will be degraded. So if you go and check, like, the nesting if else in terms of test automation will be a very hectic in terms of writing the code in test automation. And also the speed will be degraded, like the automation time will take more than the intended one. So that is where we mostly do not go for nested if else. But in terms of what is nested if else is, so you can see here we have declared one if condition, and then we again created a else, and inside this else we have again written if else condition. Again, inside this else we have again written if else condition, and so on. So this is what called as nested if else. What we are trying to do here is, we have written a function. Do not worry, like how do we declare a function in JavaScript. We'll let you know when we discuss, like, what is functions in JavaScript. So I've declared a function called as grades, and that function is taking an argument called as marks. Now you might be wording like, when we say like argument, that means it is a type of variable. Like you have to declare a variable. So why are we not declaring any var and let over here, right? So see, whenever you declare any variable or any arguments inside a function or methods, you don't have to declare either var or let. You can just declare the name of the variable, and when you call this particular method, at that time, whatever the value you give here, let's say 97, if you give 97, then the 97, like the type of, like the data type of the value that you declare here will be automatically taken as a part of this marks. Okay, so here we are taking an argument called as marks, and then we are checking if the marks is greater than 90, then it is grade A. If marks is greater than 80, then it is grade B. If 70, C, 60, D, and if less than 60, then it is failed. Let's say example. So you can see here, in this particular case, when we try to will return the grade over here. At the end, will return grade from this function, saying that like what is the value that the grade is having. So that value we have to return, because we are assigning the value inside every condition. So whatever the condition matches, it will set the value for grade, and this grade will be returned from the function. So here, whenever we try to provide a marks, like let's say if we have provided 97, then in this case, it will go and check if first if condition, and if it is matching, which is like currently matching, then the grade will set A, and from here the code will be exited, like code will exit and will try to return the value. So if it is matching, as I said, if it will be true, then it will not go inside the else block and everything will be skipped. Then the control will move to line number 63, will return the value. And if you print this will give us a value as grade A. Okay. So let's say we again have given some other value, which is like, let's say 87. Then we have 65 and then 59. So whenever we have given a value as 87, at that time, again, it will start checking from the first condition. If it is matching, if it is not matching, then it will go to the else. In this case of 87, it is not matching. So it will go to the else block and will evaluate a condition. If it is greater than 80, okay, it is matching. So grade will be set as B. And then from here, the control will exit and goes to that will directly jump to return statement, and the return, it will return our grade, whatever we have set in after checking the condition. In the line number 69 that we are trying to utilize, like the value at 65, then in the same case, it will go and it will never directly jump to this particular condition. Whereas it will start from first condition. If it is failing, then it will go to else condition. We'll again check the condition and like else block, and then it will again check the condition. If it is matching, then it is okay. If not, then it will again go inside else. If it is matching, again by evaluating the condition for the next step. If it is matching, well and good. Else it will again go to the next. In our situation where we are trying to validate 65, it will come to the last condition and check if it is matching or not. Here it is matching, which is like greater than 65. 87 will match here and 97 will match here. So in terms of 65, it will assign the grade as D, and from here the code will not go inside else because it has given us a true value. And if it is true, then it will return a grade as whatever the based on the condition that it is matching. Now if you check for 59, from first to the last, none of the condition is matching, which is 59 is not greater than 60, which is also not greater than 70, 80, and 90. So none of the condition is matching. So it will move to the last else block where we do not have any other condition. It will move to the last else block and then will print us the value, whatever we declared inside the last else block. Okay. So if you just try to print this value, then if you just try to print it, you can say that the first, which is 97, has given us a grade A. The second, you can see it has printed as B value. The third, which is matching with the grade D, so it has given us a D. And if nothing is matching, that has given us fail. Okay, any doubt over here?
No, Praveen.
Okay. Manoj?
I'm clear, Praveen.
Okay, great. So now we'll move to the switch condition, switch statement. So we have seen one disadvantage that whenever you use if-else condition or if-else if, every time a condition will be validated. If it is matching, then that block of code will be executed. If not, then at the end, else block of code will be executed. So let's move to the switch statement. So what happened in the switch statement is, in switch statement will also be performing different actions. So that means it will have a different case, different uh, case value to print it as. That means different conditions will be there in terms of switch statement as well. So let's say if we have to print, let me give the example and then we can go ahead with it. So switch statement will also take some of the expression. It will take an expression. Expression is like it will check what you have to evaluate. It means whatever the value that you have to check, you can give inside switch statement. And then there will have a case value. We'll have a different types of case value, multiple case value. So what happened in this switch statement is, earlier we had seen like if else if statement, right? So if else if, it will check each and every condition, whereas if we talk about the uh, same value that we are trying to check from the browser, let's say we are trying to evaluate browser. Okay, so that means we are trying to check, we are trying to take a value which we are trying to validate as a browser. Now we'll say like our case is first case, whether it is Chrome or not. So how do we write the same if else if statement in the switch statement? So we are trying to write in that way. So whenever we say okay, so whenever we say that you have an expression to evaluate whether that is true or not. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Praveen, you were
Yes,
audible.
Praveen.
Okay, audible. Did. Okay. So what happened is, what happened in this particular situation is, what we are trying to say here is the browser, we are trying to evaluate whether the browser that we have declared here is matching with any conditions or not. So in if else statement, it will validate each and every condition, whereas we'll compare the similar things in switch statement. So we are saying that we have we are so for switch, like the template for writing switches, you have to declare the switch keyword and then expression is that you want to that you are trying to validate, and then there will be a case value. Different case value will be there, and you will have a break statement at every case value. Once this has been completed, there will be another case value, which will be again, let's say case value 2. Then some kind of code will be there, and then break statement. And at the end, we'll have a case which is like default. So when we select default, we'll again have sum of the, let's say console.log, and then some values like let's say default case. So this is the template to write switch statement. So it will accept an expression that you have to evaluate. That means that you have to validate whether there are any condition which is matching or not. Then we'll have a condition over here. This is also called as condition. So this will try to check, like, if there are any case or any condition which is matching with our expression that we are trying to validate. So the advantage of using switch case is it will not go and check from the first case, then go to the second case. And if it is not matching, then it will go to default. It will directly check, do we have any case which is matching with the expression? Do we have any case which is matching with the expression? So case is like, again, a condition. So if there is any condition which is matching with the expression value that we are trying to perform or evaluate, then it will directly jump to that particular condition. The the mm, the code or the statement that we have written inside that will be printed, and then break will be performed over there. That means the control will exit from the switch statement. So we'll see with that example where it says, I'll just comment this. Okay, so you can say here we are trying to perform the same value that we have declared, let browser equal to Safari. We are trying to check whether we have any condition which is matching with our browser. So we have first condition as Chrome. We have validated. We have a first condition as Chrome. Second case as, let's say, Firefox. And you have to end with the semicolon over here. You have to end with the colon over here, not semicolon. So whenever you write a condition, as you can see in if else, we have a curly braces starting and ending. In the same way, in switch, we have the colon to start and end with the break. Okay. So as we have here, like, we'll just try to print this and then break. Again, we'll write the same case for checking different situations or different uh, evaluation. Let's say we are trying to validate with 4 condition, which is like, say, edge, and then this is Safari, and at the end, as I said, will be a default case. If none of the condition is matching, then it will come inside the default, and default will not have break because it knows that, like, there is none of the statement or none of the condition have matched, so it came to the default. Likewise, we have in if else, there'll be only one condition which will be true. So in the same way, switch will have also only one condition which will be matching. Okay, and after every case that you declare and you write some kind of script, after every case you have to declare a break. If you do not declare break, then it will go and check each and every case or each and every condition inside the switch browser, switch statement. So let's say we'll just try to run this particular code. And did we not save? Okay, we are in the other page right now. So I'll comment all these lines. Okay, so we are saying that we are trying to evaluate whether our variable that we have declared, which is like switch browser equals to Safari or not. So in this case, we have declared a browser which is Safari. We have given a condition as switch, and we are performing whether this is called as expression inside the switch. So we are saying that whether our expression that we are trying to validate, whether our condition that we are trying to validate, if there are any condition inside switch statement which is matching with our browser Safari. If it is matching, then that particular test or script will be executed, and a break keyword will be called. Whenever a break keyword will be called, like whenever the code see that there is a break inside the code, that means it says that you have to break your loop. You don't have to go inside any loop over here, and then you can exit from here itself wherever you use break in your code. After that, whatever you have written inside loop or inside switch, nothing will be executed. That means, let's say if you're trying to give here a Chrome, right? So what happened is this switch will accept a Chrome as an expression with the value browser. This value will be given to switch inside switch, which will check as a Chrome. Now, there are different cases. So as I said, if it is like not matching, then inside switch, it will never go and check each and every condition. It will directly jump to the condition if it is matching. If it is not matching, then it will directly jump to default. So even if we have 100 case over here, in that situation also, if nothing is matching, it will not go and evaluate 99 other case. It will directly jump to the default. This is what the advantage we have by using switch statement. So let's say we have given Chrome here, right? So, and you try to run your script, and you will see like it has given you are using Chrome browser. And if you just give as a Firefox, so you can see it will directly jump to the Firefox. It will not check the first condition. It will check whether is there any case with Firefox. That particular statement or the script that we have written will be printed out, or the action will be performed, and then the break will call, and the control will not go to control, in the sense it will not execute the other code we are having inside switch block, switch statement. Okay, and let's say we say that other, that means we do not we have just declared a browser as other. Switch statement will try to check if the case are matching or not. If there are no case with other, then it will directly jump to default. So you can see here that it will say like you are using other browser. Okay. Now, as I said earlier, that we have to use inside switch, we have to always use a break condition, a break keyword, right? So why do we use break? That means if our case matches, then there is no need of going forward and execute the other code. So let's say if you comment this line, it's always better to check like all the positives, negative, and edge cases scenario whenever you write any test or program. So if you just break it out, and we have a Firefox as a condition, we are trying to check whether that is matching or not. If you print this, you can see that it has given every time. Well, okay. So my bad, I had missed to change the browser name. Okay. So if you try to print this, you can see like it is printing as you are using Firefox browser, you are using Edge browser, you are using Safari browser, and also you are using other browser. Why did it happen? See, as I said, if your condition is matching, then it will directly jump to the condition. So this is one of the example where you can say it is not checking with the Chrome condition. It is not evaluating with this particular condition. If it could have been evaluated, it would have also printed like you are using Chrome. So switch condition will directly jump to the matching part. We have Firefox, it is matching with this. So it evaluated here. Now we have commented the break. So it will go in the next line and we'll again evaluate it. And it will keep on going to the next line until the condition become false, and it will like print the last statement or the last script that we have written inside switch. So this is how if you miss to write break condition will happen. Now I'll show you, like, let's say if nothing is matching. This is a good example to say, like, it on the switch statement will directly jump to the condition. Let's say if nothing is matching, then it will directly say you like you are using other browser. That means it did not evaluate this. And you can say like you can check with the Chrome in this particular situation will evaluate all the conditions because we have removed the break. And now if we again uncomment the break, you can see we can see here that it will just evaluate the first condition and break it from there. Okay, so this is all about statement. This is all about statement. Any statement like if else and switch condition that we have gone through. So any confusion in this switch statement?
I'm good, Praveen.
Yeah, I'm clear with this, Praveen.
Okay, okay. So that's it for today. In the next session, we'll try to pick it up the loop part and we'll try to complete it up. In the next 3 to 4 session, we'll try to complete, or max 4 to 5 session, we'll try to complete JavaScript, and then we'll jump to the playwright because that will also take at least 4 to 5 weeks of time. So probably total course will take around 6 weeks of time, 5 to 6 weeks of time. And if there will be any kind of doubts after the courses, I'll again extend for a couple of more days to clear the doubt session. Okay,
Okay, Praveen.
so right, so that's it for today. Now what we can do is, if you have any kind of questions um, or clarification that you need,